You are listening to Vicky Goes On and On with Vicky Stokes and James Wells.
Fuck off, woman. Hello.
I want a job where, I want that to be my job.
Yeah.
This meeting is being recorded. Please mind the gap.
Yeah, but if you would,
can I be okay?
well, just you doing it for Zoom, fucking hell, you'd be like constant.
No, not for Zoom. No, record it one time.
Oh. How would you do it then? Go on.
Well, I just copy her. So, I mean,
well, it's already been done then. It's been done.
No, I know. But all right, I'll say this meeting's being recorded.
You could like code switch, so you could do it for different people, couldn't you?
And you could do it for different areas, like, do an Irish one and a Scottish one and a Welsh one. I will not embarrass myself by doing an Irish, Scottish or Welsh accent. Thank you. I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming, and I've preempted it. I mean, I'm very well. I'm very warm. How are you?
Yeah, I was going to say you could do this. You could do it for the podcast, and I could just put it in as a little soundbite.
This meeting is being recorded.
This meeting is being recorded. A bit like Stephen Hawking.
You did that very camp.
This meeting is being recorded. The one thing I will say is, and I'll take this bit out, is if I say something funny, don't laugh and move away from the from the speaker, because I'll never get it on the microphone, because then I'll never get it, and then it sounds bad because I'm saying all this really hilarious stuff.
Oh no, because I move away because I don't want it to be so plosive and annoying.
You're not an opera singer.
I know, much to my despair.
It's ain't Freddie Mercury and the other lady singing Barcelona, Montserrat.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good song, actually.
So welcome back, listeners, if you're listening, and wondering where we've been. Well, James has become a father. No, that's true. We have been nowhere. I did go to Lewis.
Did you?
So
John Lewis?
No.
Oh no, I saw that on the Instagrams.
Oh, on the old Instagram, my pictures of trees and
I saw that. It looked beautiful. It is beautiful. Yeah.
I arranged my friend Lisa's bookshelf, and you can take the girl out of Waterstones, but you can't take the Waterstones out of the girl. She was like, "Oh, would you mind?" And I was like, "Mate, I'm born for alphabetizing and categorizing." And I was like, and some of the books Lisa's finished, so some of them are in Finnish, obviously. Right, and I'm like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
like holding up book. What is this?
What was it? Alphabetical? Was it John?
Well, it's alphabetical by. Listen, my darling, it has to be alphabetical by author. But then also we did fiction, and then I categorized the non-fiction. So she's got cookery books; they're all together. Gardening books all together, and then I made like a travel section because she had a number of those, and then there were like, sort of coffee table-ish books, or there were a couple of like history books, so I put those together. I think I ended up making a sort of random section, but it made sense in the way that I put it on the shelf, so she was very happy.
Oh, let's see if I'm doing.
So if you need me to rearrange some bookshelves.
No, because if I'm doing author, it's chronological. So my Dickens is chronological. I wouldn't.
No, that's fine. No. Well, no, that's fine.
Right.
Because that's within the fiction section.
Right. Okay.
So you would alphabetize by the author. And then, depending on how I felt, it would either be chronological, or I sometimes do alphabetize within, say, Stephen King.
No.
I might alphabetize.
No, I can't have Pickwick Papers at the end. No.
What have you got? The Mystery of Edwin Drood doesn't even finish.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter though. It's still a novel. when you're
But what if you've only got two of them? Like, does it matter? No.
well, it
You've got a
does.
whole
You still
set,
do. You
and that's
still
different.
do. You
No,
know,
you're wrong. I'm
because
sorry,
you're
but you would
building
be
it up.
fired
You're
from
building it up.
Waterstones.
No,
You would be fired from
no,
Waterstones.
no.
Yes, yes.
No, because you get
I
if you read things chronologically, you get a sense of the evolution of the writer. You know, same with albums as well. So like how they change and mature and stuff. You know.
all right. Well, now we're going really off topic.
Well, we are. Yeah. Dickens was a dad.
He bloody was, you know. He had a lot of kids.
Hmm. Yeah, I only have
He
one.
he put it about
I only have
so
one.
far. So far.
Yeah. So
Never
far.
say
Which
never.
is
I mean, Haley has something to say about it,
oh
I'm
yeah.
sure. But
Which is where I've been. That's why we've been a bit quiet.
diving off, larking about, pretending to have a baby.
I'll tell you, there was no pretense about it.
So,
It happened.
we have some questions because I thought it would be interesting to look at particularly birth and newborn from a dad's perspective. Now,
Yeah.
I appreciate that the general consensus is like, oh, what another male attitude, another male opinion. But actually, I do think that fathers are overlooked, particularly at the beginning
I was
bit.
going to say, for newborns, I do think dads are, and
Yes.
right, and
So, and
rightly so to an extent. Let's be honest. I mean,
to
the
an extent, but
the mum's doing all the work. The mum's doing the carrying for 9 months. The mum
sure, but
putting all the
you
legwork in to
are
release this baby into the wild.
but you are hopefully just as excited as a father.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's a little bit of a shame sometimes when the dad is overlooked. And I do appreciate that all eyes are on the mum and the
Hmm.
baby. I mean, from my experience at baby showers, for example, people tend to forget to get anything for the mum. And I think she's gonna need something to
Yeah. Do you know
cheer
what?
her up and
There's been a few times when we've received gifts and they haven't been for the baby at all. They've primarily been for Haley. There's been a couple of occasions where we've been giving gifts for both of us, and it's been really nice actually. That's not to take it away from the baby, but it's
no, but I
it's
mean,
quite thoughtful.
no offense to your
You know
baby,
what
but
are they going to do?
she's not doing much,
No, she sleeps, shits, and eats, and that's it, really.
which is great. I mean, this is the best time of your life, baby.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell us what your baby is called?
My baby is called, she's a lovely little bundle of joy called Alba. And she's an absolute delight. And I love her dearly already, which is strange. There is no other time in your life when you will know. I mean, I guess I do think love at first sight exists because it did happen with
Because
me
you're
and
romantic.
Haley.
That's
Yeah, and
why.
I'm romantic. But I think in general, that kind of love, there is no other time in your life where you will know. And the thing is, you don't even know this person. This human being has got no personality really yet. You can't have a conversation with them, yet you love them unconditionally. And it's only been 5 weeks. And it's such a strange feeling because it's an instant thing. And I mean, she
I
could
mean,
grow.
that's how I feel about my dog,
But yeah,
mm,
I mean, she could grow
I'm
up and be
kidding. I'm
a
kidding.
total arsehole.
But
But
you will still love her.
yeah,
You may not like her
and
sometimes.
that's what my mum says. I don't always like
Yes.
you, but I love you.
Yes. And I obviously don't know the parent side of that, but as a child, I
Mm,
can we're both children of people.
yeah,
I can agree that I can see that is true.
yeah.
I said to my mum once, oh, but wouldn't it have been awful if you had like a really ugly baby? And she's like, how dare you? All of my babies are beautiful because they're mine. And I
Ah,
just thought, but that's the problem, isn't it? Because some
no, see,
babies are ugly.
Well, I've said this. We both said this, and we actually said, "Oh my God, I hope she doesn't come out ugly." Because
But I don't think that you would see it.
I think I would. I definitely think I would.
I don't think you
I
would.
mean,
I'm going
luckily
to
she's not.
go for the next one.
She genuinely isn't. She's a
Try
lovely.
make an ugly baby the next time, and we'll see. Put it to the
Because
test. We
if
need to be
when you have
scientific
an
about
ugly
it.
baby and everyone goes, "Oh, isn't she?" I mean, if she'd come out ugly and everyone was like, "Oh, isn't she gorgeous?" I'd be like, "No, stop lying to me. Just be honest."
No, but I think that you're probably so filled with love that
No,
I disagree.
I disagree.
As a non-mother,
I
I
disagree.
disagree.
I disagree. You have to be realistic and
So
honest with yourself.
yeah, well, someone ought to be honest. So one of the biggest things that I was curious about, because you're my closest male friend, and we speak often. And so when you told me that you were having a baby, I suddenly was like, oh, there are things that I would normally ask because, normally I'm friends with the female,
And
but
quite
like
you've got quite a few
you wouldn't
female
know.
friends that have had
Quite a
babies now,
few.
haven't you? So yeah.
Yes. I'm very old. But one of the things that I always remember is the first friend of mine to have a baby, I was 18, maybe 19 when she had her baby. And I told some other friends of ours, oh yeah, Hat's had her baby. And they all asked me, how much did the baby weigh? And I was like, oh, I didn't think to ask because I think I've got like, I don't know, my brother's head on. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not something that we would think about. But it felt like women just knew to ask that. So I've got so this is my point. Women automatically have this list, and it's kind of in this order. What type of baby did you have, boy or girl? Which is obviously quite kind of becoming controversial now, but anyway, whatever. What is the name? Or have you thought of a name? How long were you in labor? Did you have a natural birth or not? Was it a water birth? How much did the baby weigh? So what I would like to know is not the answer to those questions, but in your experience, and now in your first-hand experience, do men ask each other those same questions? Do
No.
they ask any of those questions?
Name, gender.
Right. Did you
So,
watch? Do they ask you if you watched? Do they ask you if you?
Some do, and I did, and I always thought I'd be really queasy over this kind of stuff because when I can't watch things like Casualty, and like 24
But
hours
it's
and
different, isn't
it
it?
is
It's
different when you're in the moment. Like I was literally,
course.
my head was pretty much down there watching the whole thing unfold.
I
But
mean,
unfold, that's probably not the right the right turn of phrase, not unfold, but
I hope it didn't
no, it
unfold.
didn't unfold. But like seeing the
It
head,
did what it had to do.
seeing
Yeah.
the head
I
like
had to
appear.
watch one of them videos in primary school, and that I think sealed the deal and made me go, nah, it's not for
I
me,
mean,
thanks.
I can understand how younger people seeing it would be put off, but at my age, yeah, I just thought it was amazing. It was just incredible to watch. And I was not queasy at all. It was fascinating. I mean, at one point, and I don't really see this as much of an encouragement, but maybe it is. I don't know because I'm not the mum. But Haley had a natural birth and she was really pushing and baby was being a bit stubborn about coming out. And I saw the head, I could see like the hair on the head. And the midwife said to her, "Oh, yep, we can just see the head now. Do you want to touch it?" To Haley. So Haley put her hand there and touched this head. And I was thinking to myself, is that supposed to reassure her? Is that supposed to be like, okay, we're there now? Like, come on, you can
Yeah,
do
I don't know. That's a really good question. I wonder
because I
why.
can imagine that would be quite freaky for some people.
I don't see. I don't. Uh, you know, unfortunately, I can't ask my mum anymore. But we did talk a lot, a lot, a lot. And my mum had 7 kids, right? And
How many of them were natural birth?
6.
Oh, bloody hell.
I
You
decided,
cesarean.
fuck that shit. You want me, you come and get me.
You came out through the sunroof.
That's exactly what Philip said, yes. And I did. I like to go to the path less travelled.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough.
And what I find really fascinating is because my mum had 7 kids over such a long period of time, because there's 15 years between the first baby and the last baby.
Yeah.
Almost 16 years actually. You know, she went through such a wide range of the way that things happen. For example, with my eldest sister, she had, you know, you listen on an ear trumpet to the heartbeat. And then of course by the time Mikey was born in 1980, you had actually look at the picture on, I mean, a really bad picture, but look at, and I find that fascinating. And like disposable nappies weren't invented with her first children. I mean, we have the same parents, so it's not, you know, it's not like there was a lot of that. So there was a lot of consistency, but there was just a big gap where they didn't have kids. And my dad in the 60s and 70s, men were not allowed in the delivery room. So, and then I was cesarean. So my dad only actually was in the room for one birth. And I asked him, you know, would you have rather been with mum? And he was like, absolutely, of course I would.
Yeah.
My mum, actually, the second baby, Julie, she was born at home. And I asked my dad not long ago, well, where were you? You know, sort of assuming that he was at work or something. And it was just like a surprise. And my dad was like, oh, I was in the next room because I was a man. Even in your own home,
How
it wasn't,
strange.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, and I mean, I said to my dad, well, look, I'm not being funny, but you were there for the conception. So I think it only right that you're there for the
I mean, I
next bit, you know.
I wonder what the reason was behind that.
I don't know. Very strange puritanical reasons. I'm sure that, you know, women, I don't know. I'd have to look into that a bit more because I think that's interesting. But
yeah, when it comes to my male friends, they pretty much just ask, you know, name and gender. Really, no one asked about weight or anything like that. No, it's very,
because I wouldn't think to. I didn't think to the first time it happened.
And then the comments would be, there'd be the questions, and then the next comment would be, when are we going out? Wet the baby's head. Yeah.
And that brings me nicely to my next point, which is, why is that such a man thing to do? And
I don't know.
Female friends do not get invited to wet the baby's head.
I'm not sure. I don't even know.
All the boys go off.
Where does the tradition come from?
No, any excuse to go down the pub. I
probably,
mean, I would accept that, but
yeah.
And it's probably from the fact that the man isn't in the room. And so the woman is sort of left to nurse the baby.
Yeah.
And the man goes off, smokes a cigar, go down a pub, wet the baby's head.
I mean, if there's anything that's going to help you bond with your child, he's fucking off down to the pub.
Because my dad doesn't drink, it's, to me, it's kind of an odd concept in lots of ways. And you know, like the whole trope of men going down the pub for a pint, because my dad doesn't drink and in my lifetime never smoked. So, you know, he doesn't like fishing, he doesn't go golfing, all of those sort of dad things. My dad doesn't do them.
No, I don't. So I do wonder what my, you know, aside from superheroes, I do wonder what the choice of like Father's Day cards and presents will be in the years to come, because, you know, I love a beer. I love a beer as much
that's
as
changing.
You know, I think, I mean, you know, not the modern man, but the times are different, aren't they? So yeah,
they are. But then it is funny, isn't it, how I suppose comfortable those traditional things are, and people end up, it seems, falling into traditional mindsets.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, as much as everybody's kind of like obviously being a stay-at-home dad is fine, and in fact I'm jealous of stay-at-home dads. There is still surprisingly a little bit of a stigma attached to it still. Have you watched the BBC show Motherland by any chance?
I haven't. I've seen bits and bobs because Hayley's been watching it.
So I, as I say, I've watched.
I think now she's a
all of
mum,
the
she's
things,
qualified to watch it or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not qualified to watch it. I'm watching it as a rogue. But
however, it's all about like the school run and shit. And I said to Hayley, I think you're watching this a bit too early.
No, well, but I mean that's true. It's you know, it's a fun enough program to watch as a motherless. Well, I am motherless, but as a childless woman. Sorry, Mum. I'm both. I have no children and no mother. So, but I do find it quite interesting to watch. My friend Sarah, who now has 2 children, she just had her second in December. She was like, the main character is really hot. It's really annoying character, and we discuss.
Is that the one that's in Line of Duty, or is that someone else?
That's right. No, that's right. And I don't watch that, so maybe that's something I could watch.
No,
since I've watched. I watched a Jack Charlton documentary the other day.
Well, what I will say is, if you ever fancy a bit of time off just to watch loads of TV and catch up and stuff, get pregnant. Because by the end of Hayley's pregnancy, she'd smashed through all of Line of Duty. She was watching Motherland. Fucking hell, Grey's Anatomy. My God, Grey's Anatomy. There's too much Grey's Anatomy. Fucking hell.
There is. You're absolutely right. I've still only seen one episode of Grey's Anatomy, and it's the one that Ewan McGregor's in.
I missed that one.
Right?
I don't know.
Or is that ER?
I don't watch it.
Maybe that's ER.
All I know is every time I walk into the room and she's got it on, someone's either crying or shouting at someone.
That's just my brain, though.
It's the most unjoyful program ever.
I mean, that's the thing is I tend to veer towards comedy.
The problem is, though, once you get to season fucking 15, she's like invested in it now, and it's like, I know.
Surely you'd be invested after season 2. Season 15, that's your life now.
Yeah, I have to remind her we've got a child to look after.
You're like, excuse me.
I can't breastfeed her.
You're not trying hard enough. There's no excuse.
I've squeezed as much as possible. So
you should get one of those like holster things. So Hayley expresses the milk and you put it into a bottle, but where your boob would be.
Like a female female bodysuit.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like
I look like Mrs. Doubtfire.
If you want,
you know when he puts on this, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to, no judgment here, mate.
No.
I don't know. I think the thing with my mum, well, with my family, is that they gave us both bottle and breast, but we didn't have expressing pumps then, so it was just formula.
Okay.
So whatever.
Was your dad once you guys had come along? I mean, you might not know as much about your siblings, but I guess with you, was your dad quite like active, like proactive when it came to being?
Yeah, and my dad never shied away from, you know, making a bottle or changing nappies. Neither of us understand this attitude that some men seem to have, where it's like, oh, I can't change it. It's nasty.
Yeah, it's like, so strange. And you're supposed to be a manly man, you prat.
Exactly. Grow up.
So we went to a cafe on Monday for lunch, and we know the people in the cafe now and stuff, and they've kind of seen Hayley being pregnant, and they've seen the baby, and one of the waitresses there, I went in first with a pram, and they were saying, "Oh, how's Alba doing?" And I said, "Yeah, she's really good. Sleeping really well still." You know, and like Hayley was still in the car. And they said, "Oh, how's Hayley?" I said, "Oh, yeah, she's coming in." and we got onto the subject of like feeding and stuff and like sleeping, and we spoke about breastfeeding, and I said, oh yeah, Haley expresses, so I always do
night feed.
a feed of a night.
Yeah.
And the waitress was like, oh, that's so good. Like my husband, he would never have done that.
Oh,
And
for
I'm like,
fuck's
what?
sake, grow up.
It's a baby. Like I said,
You
it's
know what, my dad, I was asking my dad actually, because a friend of mine, I won't say which one of my many friends, because they might be
you are
with it, but no, but just that they might be uncomfortable. But they were talking to me about breastfeeding and the difficulties that surround it, and particularly the night feed.
Yeah.
And so they ended up, I think the solution was they did what you guys are doing, which is like you express, and then the partner, the dad.
It also gives
the
mum a little bit of time to sleep,
So I said to my dad, because of course in the 60s there was no formula and there was no expressing of pumps, and things like that.
So was it breast?
I said
breast milk and nothing, or would it have been okay? Well, if they're not gonna breastfeed, then would it have to have been like normal milk? Like, are we talking like green top?
I don't know actually, because my mum never had a problem with breastfeeding.
Okay.
But some women do, and it's
so
nothing.
Then what did your dad do then?
So my dad was telling me, what I did was the baby would cry in the night. I'd tell your mum to stay in bed. She'd fall back asleep, and I'd put the baby on the breast, or the teta, as we say, because it's Spanish. And I'd put the baby on the teta, and
your mum would stay asleep.
My mum would be asleep.
How lovely.
Whilst
you know what,
the baby's
that's
drinking.
Not a bad idea.
It's a good idea, isn't it? And it didn't bother my mum, and it didn't bother the baby. And then the baby would be done, and my dad would, burp the baby.
She'd get some sleep. Baby would get fed.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And
Everyone's
he's like,
a winner, baby.
She doesn't have to get up. It's right there.
So your dad's quite a modern thinker, isn't he?
Yeah, I would say so.
It's not even a modern thinker, actually. I mean, I think your dad, if he's anything, or if he's anything like I am, like I said to his waitress, I said, like, and maybe it's just me looking at. No, it's not. I was going to say maybe it's just me looking at it from a positive angle. It's not, because it's bullshit. If you're a dad that's like, well, I'm not doing that, I don't need to do that, then why are you a dad? There is no reason for you to be a dad. My attitude is, at that time of night, no one else is up. Everyone else is asleep, and it's just me and you, and I'm feeding you, and you're there, you're content, and it's the one little moment that her and I have got that no one else can have and take away. Why would you deny yourself that? Because you're too macho?
Because they don't want to be a dad. They just want to prove that their balls work.
It's all, and it's almost like a status thing.
I've
had 3 kids.
Well, it's like that,
I don't know nothing about them, but I've had 3 kids. So.
Yeah, it's like when there's a type of man who you say, have you got any kids? And they say, not that I know of. Like, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah. Well done.
Fucking scumbag who left my kids. Yeah. And so I started saying to men who asked me if I had kids, not that I know of, and just to watch their.
I bet that confused them as fuck.
Oh, the number of confused looks I got. Yeah. And this is why I'm single, because I behave like this.
No, but then
not that I know of.
Oh, maybe she was one of them women you read about in the Sun that has a baby on the toilet and they didn't realise they were pregnant.
Yeah. My mum was always like, how do you not know? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
I agree with your mum. I totally agree with your mum. Like, Haley had a pretty okay pregnancy. She was pretty good throughout the whole thing, and she didn't get sickness or anything like that. But she still knew she was pregnant. You still feel things.
My mum.
I just don't get it. You've got to be fucking stupid.
In the 60s, pregnancy tests didn't exist in the way that we have them anyway.
So it would be like if you were late, then that was pretty much.
Well, so I asked my mum this. This is my point, is, despite the fact that she's no longer with us, unfortunately, there are still plenty of fucking stories in this old fella, right?
Yeah.
And And so I said to we were watching something and I was like, oh, pregnancy tests, they were invented in like 1968 or something. And my older sister was born in 66 and my mum had a kid in 67 and another one in 68. I said to my mum, oh, so how did you know she was pregnant? She went, I knew. And I said, oh, well, because you were late. She went, no, immediately. I was like, fuck off. Immediately. She was like, yeah, you just know. You just know. You just feel it. I was like, right. Well, like the second like the egg implanted. Yeah. All right. Well, like, I mean, who am I talking?
The aura.
She's like, you just know. Yeah. You just know. And I'm like, some people I know did not know until 3 or 4 months in. And she's like, then they're fucking idiots.
Excellent. I mean, I do kind of agree. Like, if you get to 8 months and you didn't realise, you twat.
I mean, I agree, but I tell you my biggest thing, and I'm sure that you will agree 100% here. My biggest problem with the perception of fatherhood by some people is when you're with, and you will get it if you haven't already, you're with your child and the mother isn't around and somebody will say, oh, you babysitting? No, you're not babysitting. It's your fucking child. You don't babysit your own child.
You know what? I've never heard any of my
not yet
friends have that said to them, but yeah,
I won't be
impressed if
are you babysitting?
You say that, right? We did after we left the cafe, we were putting her back in the car, and this old boy, bless him, walked past, and he was like, "Oh, that's a little one. That's a tiny one. Oh, isn't she lovely?" And we had a quick chat with him. Never met him before, and he ended the conversation by going, "Oh, what's you got to look forward to, eh?"
I'm that guy.
Oh, fucking hell! And I'm like, oh, well, hopefully things will get better soon and we'll all be back to normal. And
it's realism.
Thank you for your pessimism. Pessimism? Pessimism.
That is a word.
Yeah.
I was watching something yesterday. I don't remember what I was watching. I just wanted to see. Oh, yeah. And they said edited it is really hard to say. Edited it.
I edited it. I edited it. Edited it. It sounds like you got a stutter, doesn't it? I edited it.
Edited it. Yeah. Edited it. So I spent a good 20 minutes repeating that. I mean, I did speak to someone yesterday. It was fine.
Yeah.
This week's really busy. Last week, no one. Week before, no one. This week and next week, it's like, Jesus Christ.
When I messaged you, like, hey, I'm back now.
Hey, doing it. And I was like, fucking.
I'm sorry, but I had a good month off of enjoying my child, and I would recommend it.
No, don't be.
Do you know what though? I would recommend it. Again, going back to what you were saying about dads that don't really want to change bums or feed or whatever. I just don't understand dads that
can you
they go back to work straight away, you know?
Oh, they're just wankers.
Yeah. I mean, I know some have to.
No other work.
Some obviously have to earn a living.
Look, my dad, when I was by the time I was born, my dad was self-employed. And you know, the nature of self-employment is you got to be on call, you know, particularly in his line of work. So I mean, you know, when I was growing up, for example, he never really took a holiday because of the nature of that business. And so what he would do, that on a Sunday he would take Mikey and me out for a drive in London, and then Mikey got a bit too old and a bit like, I don't want to do that, you know, like, you know, Mikey's a bit miserable, and so it would just be me and my dad. But it was such great. I have such fond memories of, you know, we would drive to like Monument and my dad would tell me about the Great Fire of London, and we drove. I remember once he drove me to like Whitechapel.
Oh, okay.
And this is going to sound like bad parenting. You know your kids, right? And you know what they can handle. My dad, I remember once drove me to Whitechapel. We were driving around like the docks and stuff, and you know, all these like crazy places, Stepney Green and whatever. And my dad was telling me about Jack the Ripper, and because in the city there is no one on the weekend or after 7 o'clock. It's a creepy place anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we drove through, in my opinion, a very creepy place. Then my dad starts telling me about this Victorian serial killer. And then we go to the docks, which in the 80s were becoming very, like, they hadn't been redeveloped yet. And there was no sort of labor there anymore. So it was a bit derelict. I mean, talk about fucking turning that up, that creep volume up to 11. But it stuck with me, and I, you know, became really fascinated with serial killers.
Yeah. I think it's no, but it's like you said. I think you know your kids, don't you? I mean,
yeah, because I asked.
I
my
mean,
dad,
there are rare occasions. I've got friends that thought they knew their child, thought that Gremlins would be fine for them, and it scared the living shit out of them.
I think
on
with
the
Gremlins,
flip
Gremlins is
side,
a funny one,
yeah,
because in our memories it's quite funny because
Mm.
that's the bits that we remember. But I watched it not long ago, and
Oh
it
yeah, the first
really
one,
isn't.
yeah.
Yeah. It really
I
isn't
mean, as a
that funny.
child, it probably throws you because it starts off with this really cute little, mogwai, this little kind of teddy bear thing. And then suddenly you're like, what the fuck is this? So I can get it. I do understand. But then, yeah, I think parents, to an extent, should know their kids. I mean, that's probably why my dad was always quite happy for me to watch, Batman 89. Considering I was
Is that what it's
4.
called?
Well,
Is
that's
that what
why
it's called now? Is
Michael
that is
Keaton.
that how people are referring to it?
That's
I don't
how
know.
we in the comic book world refer to it,
Right.
my
You see,
darling.
because you know the way I refer to it is Batman.
Batman.
But I have noticed, I was watching something or listening to something recently, and they said Batman 89. And I was like, and then you've just said it. So it's made me go, oh, is that what the comments say?
But then, do you know what? It's things like that that always stick with you. And actually, it's a fond memory I have of me and my dad together. Like my dad split up from my mum, and I remember we'd always get a film out every weekend, and I remember at one point he got Batman Returns, and by this point I'd watched Batman 89 many times. So I was so excited, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the video store lent this out to me. They're not bringing it out until next week, but they said I could borrow it for the weekend to just test it out and watch it." I was like, "Oh, brilliant!" So we watched it, and then when I watched it again, and then end of the weekend, he was like, "Oh no, I was fibbing. That's actually yours." And I'm like, "Oh."
Oh,
So it's,
bless. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think you have to know your kids, and your dad obviously knew you to think you
Yeah,
could
knew
handle
that
the
I was the
whole
best one,
Jack
and
the
that was
the
that.
Jack the Ripper stuff.
Well, I was talking to my dad about, I just would read anything that was lying around the house. And in hindsight, if I were my parent, there are things that I probably wouldn't have allowed me to read.
Yeah.
I mean, two things. One, my parents didn't know what I was reading, is the fucking main point here, right?
Yeah.
Because I was just like wandering around the house picking up books like a lunatic.
Yeah.
But I said to my dad, like, I am aware of other parents who are very, I suppose, snoopy, like they snoop on their
Yeah.
kids, and they're constantly checking on them. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure that
I'm not
I would
sure
have
that's
preferred that.
no,
No,
yeah.
I don't think so. Although I do think they probably should have kept maybe a little bit of an eye on what I was up to. I don't think that the other end of that spectrum would have been better.
Yeah.
But I did say to my dad, like, were you not concerned that, I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 reading Stephen King books? And he was like, no, because I knew that you could handle it. Like they would see what I was reading, but they didn't know what was, they hadn't read it first. Where I do know
No.
people who would read it first and then like vet the book or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I remember at work, So my manager, my current manager, I've actually known her from a previous job. At one point, I recommended a couple of books, and I think I brought some books in for her kids who were very little at the time, who are now like university age. It's stressful for me because it just makes me realize the passage of time does not let up for anybody, and it is moving forward, baby.
Yeah.
So these kids were like 8 when I first heard of them, and now they're like 20, and I think it's a bit much. So I remember recommending these books, and my now manager being quite and you know, in a way rightfully so, but being quite like, oh well, is there sex in this, is there drugs in this, is there this in this? And okay, when you're 8, sure, that's not great.
Yeah.
But in those, for those parents, at what age do you decide, okay, this is acceptable now? Because if you go to a bookshop and you go to a section and it's like, these are books from 9 to 12, because that's how some bookshops are set up. The difference between a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old is quite a lot of difference. And there are books that I've read that were for teenagers or for kids, young adult or whatever, that even at the time that I read them, I remember thinking, this is a bit much, actually. And I think maybe it's not a 9 to 12, it's more a 13 to 15, you know?
Yeah.
But it is such a fine line.
It's a bit like Santa Claus, isn't it? It's like, when's the right time to tell?
Did you believe in Father Christmas, or Santa Claus, as you called him, like American?
If I'm honest, I don't remember a time when I did. I'm sure I did at some point, but then I don't know. I can't remember the transition periods. Like I just feel like I just a bit like you.
So there wasn't a moment where somebody sat you down and said, James.
No, I just got to a point where it was like, well, of course there isn't. You know.
Kelly lived in a flat, and she does remember believing in Father Christmas, and I said to her, but how does that work? Because we had a chimney. We had a 1970s fireplace, so it wasn't like an open coal fire, but there was still a chimney place. So like I understood that he could get in somehow.
Yeah.
But Kelly's flat did not have a chimney or a fireplace. So I was like, well, how did that work? And she said, well, you see, Vicky, he had a rainbow key, and that's how he got into everyone's house. And I was like, right, this rainbow key that no one's ever spoken about. She was like, listen, it's how I made it happen in my head.
That's what I mean, But I was a bit more kind of, well, you've got all these different films telling me different things. I was like, this is, I don't know. I just remember, I don't remember a time when it was told to me or it hit me.
Yeah,
I just kind of almost like I just grew into it. I just grew into the fact that Father Christmas
you just sort of go, no, it doesn't. That doesn't jibe with me.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, it was, and it was.
I remember saying to my dad once, like out of nowhere, I just one day said, so you see children who don't believe in Christmas, they don't celebrate Christmas, because I think I always knew that there were some kids who didn't celebrate Christmas because I'm from central London and it's multicultural. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, how does Father Christmas know that those guys don't celebrate Christmas? Like, it wasn't working in my head. And so I remember saying to my dad, okay, but like Shamima across the road, they don't do Christmas. So Father Christmas is just going to miss them. But how does he know from the roof? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And my dad's well, he just knows. And then it was like, 3 months later, he's like, I'm asking, I'm like, I'm still stuck on this one, actually, Dad. Like, can we discuss this a bit further? Because I'm not quite believing you.
And it's really important to a child, things like that, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to wish her life away, but I'm looking forward to them kind of moments. I'm looking forward to like when she's like 2 or 3, but she's talking, like how they do where they've heard phrases and sayings, and they talk to you as if they're an adult, but they have no clue in what they're actually saying to you. I'm looking forward to all that kind of stuff.
That's the bit of kids. That sounds really weird. I was going to say that's the bit of kids I like. I don't mean that in a weird way. I think newborn babies are fine. They're just boring, but they're good for
they're not
hanging
boring,
out with.
They're good for cuddles. I mean,
If you're doing the cuddling,
I
but I
can't
mean,
stop kissing her. Honestly, she's so
who
kissable.
isn't, yeah, but I'm not going to come around.
And yeah, but you look them. You've seen them cheeks. They're like, oh, they're massive.
Yeah,
Like
but that's another thing. That is, can I just say,
Go on.
as a fucking public service announcement, and it's often women that do this, don't go up to a kid and pinch their cheeks. Just leave their fucking cheeks alone. It hurts the child.
It doesn't.
I say,
irresistible.
It does. It hurts. When that kid is a bit older, don't you go around pinching her cheeks.
Honestly,
there were
because when she's a bit
women
older,
who
she
would
would have
pinch.
grown into them a bit more. But when because obviously Hayley's diabetic as well, so the baby was bigger than what she was supposed to be at that time. And they said, "Oh, Alba's belly is quite big." But I tell you, when she came out, it was her cheeks they should have been worried about. They were massive. And that's the other thing. I always was told, like, be careful with a baby's head because they obviously can't hold it up properly in their neck and stuff. When her head came out, the midwives just grabbed her head and just pulled the rest of the body out. And I'm like, careful, it's my child. Like there was no
but
grace, or they weren't gentle about it at all. They were just yanked it out.
Because at the moment of birth, we're a bit more squidgy and pliable so that we can get through the cervix.
Right, okay.
But, a couple of days, a week later, don't be yanking your baby.
No. I did.
Because the bones are a bit.
So bless her. I think she was just having a bit of a like a mushy mind day or whatever. But Hayley was she was holding her, and I said something to her, and I made her laugh, and she was like, and she was really trying not to laugh, and I'm like, "You all right?" She was like, "Yeah, I just don't want to, hurt." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "Oh, well, you read these things, don't you, about babies that have been like shook and people that shake their babies and kill them?" I said, "Not from laughter." Like this is a bit more violent and vigorous.
It's a bit more rough than that. Yeah.
Then every time I make her laugh now, she's holding Alba. I'm like, "Well, careful, you don't want to hurt her."
Well, I do think that new parents have a tendency to be bloody.
I mean, your mind precious. Goes even with
and I understand.
Not even just that. I mean, just common sense goes a little bit out of the window sometimes, just because your mind's a bit all over the place. You're thinking about so many different things. I'll tell you one thing.
My mum always had.
Go on.
I was going to give you some wise advice.
Please do.
From an old Spanish lady.
Go on.
And I have said it to all of my friends who've had kids, and I do think that it makes the most sense. My mum had always said, your baby will know what they need, and you will know what your baby needs.
Yeah.
Don't start second guess. Don't panic. Your body knows, particularly for the mum. Your body knows that there's like a chemical reaction that happens, or like a physiological reaction that happens. That when a woman who is breastfeeding hears a baby's cry, their boobs start leaking.
Oh, really?
Like your body knows. It is the most natural thing.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Even though I don't want to do it.
It's amazing, but it is still amazing.
It is fascinating. Of course it is. But it's like the whole thing about not sleeping in the same bed as your baby. My parents slept with all of us in their bed. And I said to my dad, were you never worried about rolling over and squashing us? And he was like, that your baby's there.
Yeah.
And I think
I said this.
That in cases where there have been tragedies, the parents were probably drinking alcohol or
Yeah,
something,
or they're just
and
really
because
fucking stupid because we've been told things like
well,
that. We've been told
forget
like to the extent
forget
where
that.
it's if you're breastfeeding at night, make sure you've got someone to spot you. And I'm like, what's that? And hey, so basically you have to be
Like,
awake
fuck off.
in case I fall asleep with her. And
No.
according to the books, I'm not even allowed to sit on the sofa cuddling her and us both fall asleep in case I drop her. And I'm like, they're just covering their backs for the pricks out there
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
just
yeah,
can give
yeah.
a shit about their children. There's a lot. We know full well that there's a lot of people in the world that really
Idiots.
should not even be blessed with children because they don't know how to look after them.
There's a lot of people out there who shouldn't be allowed to put their trousers on. Do you
No,
know what I mean?
that's what I
Like there
mean.
are some dumb people. I totally agree. And I
Mm.
do think that, if you've got an ounce of intelligence and you go with it,
Yeah,
it is the most natural thing. I mean, it's what we're here to do, is to
yeah,
have babies. So,
yeah,
do
yeah.
do it.
I tell you,
Have it
actually,
and
I tell you
buy a
one thing that I
baby.
disagree with, and you hear it all the time, and especially like leading up, like when people find out you're pregnant and leading up to the birth, and then definitely when you've had the child, is when people go, "Oh, you just didn't know what you did before you had them." I thought that's bollocks. That's absolute shite. I love that
Mm.
child with all my heart, but I remember what I did. I remember
Yeah.
me and
Well,
Hay, we used to go to
it's only been
festivals.
5 weeks.
We used to go on holiday. We used to, do things. I remember all the things that we would do, just the two of us, without a care in the world.
You know what I
I
think it
think they
is?
word it wrong.
I
I think what it is you can't imagine doing these things without them now. It's not, you can't remember what you did without them.
You
I
know
think
what
that's
I think it
bollocks.
is? I think it that traditionally people would get together and have a kid really quickly.
Mm,
And there was not a lot of courting and hanging out, just you and your partner.
yeah.
And now people are just with
Like,
their partner
yeah,
for a
living their
year, three
lives,
years,
doing a lot of
5 years,
stuff,
7 years,
and then
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
doing a lot
Yeah.
more,
Because if you
than what they
think about,
used to.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you think about, I mean, I know that your parents aren't together anymore, but I'll bet that there wasn't a massive amount of pre-child in their relationship.
No, they didn't. Yeah, no, you're right. Whereas with us,
Because
we've
my mum and dad,
travelled, we've done things.
no, exactly. And my mum and dad, they got together. My mum fell pregnant pretty quickly. They got married. She had a kid. She had another kid. She had another kid. There was basically less than a year that they had been dating before they got married and had a kid.
Mm.
And then you look at my friends, and it's, they were with their boyfriends for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Then they have a kid. And I find that quite interesting. That's the difference. And so they say, "Oh, you don't love what you don't." Yeah, well, because your relationship was immediately kids.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I know a lot of shit, even as
yeah.
a motherless person.
You keep saying as a
I know
motherless
some shit.
person.
Oh yeah. Well, I
I
am childless.
know, but I know what you actually mean.
I know.
I'll tell you another tip I have
I
for
mean, I'm not
people.
a mother.
Yeah. A tip I
Yeah.
have for people that know someone that is expecting a child. When this child comes along, if you're going to buy them flowers, buy them a fucking vase as well. Because the
Oh, dude.
amount of flowers that we got delivered, which is lovely, we only had one fucking vase, so I had to go and find more vases for all these flowers.
I'll tell
Oh
you
my
something that I
god,
did. I'll tell you something that I
the
did, and
house looked
you're
like a
gonna be
fucking
like,
florist by the end of it.
I'll tell you something that I did, and it's just gonna prove that I'm the best childless woman.
Mm,
I got it right then. I bought my friend some flowers and a plastic vase, just to be on the
Why?
safe side so that there's not, because they've got a baby
Why did
now.
you go plastic?
Because they've got a baby, they can keep it
Mm,
forever. The baby's never going to break it.
it's
Thinking ahead.
not good for the environment, though, is it?
I was thinking ahead. Yeah, but you keep it. It's not disposable.
Well,
Disposable
yeah,
plastic that's the
yeah.
my
But
friend.
at least you bought a vase. Let's be honest.
Also, this
Fucking
was
hell,
20
like
years ago.
literally,
This was before we gave a shit about the environment.
and then more would turn up, and you're like, fuck's sake.
And the other top tip, I think, is don't buy your, and I wonder if you agree, don't buy your friend's baby newborn baby clothes.
I would go further than that. I would say don't buy your friend's baby clothes unless you really know your friend,
Yes.
because we have had to take several trips to certain shops. I won't name the shops, to exchange
Woolworths.
things for baby clothes that are more closer to our style. And as we have had a girl,
I would say,
not overly frilly and pink.
Do buy baby grows because you will get through them.
Yeah.
Plain baby grows.
Mm.
And buy them 6 months plus, because everyone else is buying newborn shit.
Yeah.
First of all, you don't know that your baby's going to fit into the newborn stuff.
Because newborn's pretty small.
In my case,
for a lot of
it is very small. In my case, when I was born, newborn wouldn't have fit me. I don't know about Alba.
I mean, she was a big girl. She was 9 pounds.
Probably, yeah.
9 pounds.
Yeah, so, but maybe newborn, or you get one use out of it.
So we couldn't fit her in the newborn
other thing,
stuff. We had to go straight to the 0 to 3.
No.
So, yeah.
Exactly. This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
So I always go like
a size up kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly, because they're gonna grow into it.
0 to 3. Do you know what? Even maybe 3 to 6. Go for that.
I do 6 to 9 just because everyone else does the slightly younger ones. So and parents really need baby grows of all sorts because they go through them like you wouldn't believe. And cloth, like not rubbishy, but not fancy shawls, not fancy blankets, and muslin cloths, because babies spit up. Babies wee on things. You get poo-poo on things. It's fine, but these are things that are going to be used and going to be used a lot. And the other thing that I always buy, or I tend to always buy, although not so much lately because of COVID, I always get my friends a packet of nappies.
That's nice. Handy, isn't it? Yeah.
It's very boring.
But they'll be used.
That they will use.
Yeah.
Yes. The only person I didn't do it for was Sarah, because I knew that she was doing some eco something.
Yeah.
But with not disposable nappies. But other people, they appreciate that you've bought them a packet of nappies. It's one packet of nappies that they didn't have to buy. It's very dull. But the thing is yes, you want to buy a fancy trinket box or a photo album or a memory something, or you want to buy something very fancy and special. But the reality of child rearing is you need practical things.
Practical, yeah, definitely. Especially when they're
buy something nice for the mum. Yeah.
Definitely, always.
Also buy something nice for the mum, and because you're my friend, I suppose I should have got something for you. Did I get you? I didn't get you anything. I just sent you a Playmobil thing.
Yeah, you just bought Albert.
I got you lots. Some
you
beer
buy me stuff before.
No. Yeah, I got you some beer.
Also, I will say, have a bit more imagination, especially if your friend has had a girl. Don't just go for the pink and frilly, because it's like.
Unfortunately, And I think this has become more of an issue more recently, or certainly since I was a kid. Things are more frilly, things are more pink. I
Yeah.
don't really understand. We're supposed to be more gender fluid now, but I actually think it's more stereotyped now. When I was a kid, if you went to a toy shop, you went to Hamleys, there wasn't a girl section and a boy section. There was like, okay, here's Barbie, here's Action Man, here's Lego, here's whatever. But it wasn't, I mean, I never went to Hamleys until I was 18, actually, but we used to go to Toys R Us a lot. And
there's a
it was just
magical place,
toys.
we're on our way there. There's toys a
I
million
fucking
all under one roof.
loved
It's called
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us, Toys R Us, Toys R Us, Toys R Us.
There was one in
Don't get
Staples
adverts like
Corner,
that
so it was
anymore.
like the nearest to us. No, you don't. You don't get nothing anymore. Everything is rubbish now. In the olden days, it was much better. No, but I remember, I can still see it in my head. I remember you'd walk in and there were sort of the cheapy toys, like pocket money toys, if you like.
Yeah.
And then you go round the section and it would go to like Barbie, and then it had Action Man, and then it had, various things like that. But then it was like bikes all together. And it wasn't like, these are the girls' bikes, these are the boys' bikes. It was just, these are bikes, and these are bigger bikes, and these are mountain bikes, and these are, different bikes. And then it was like prams, and then there was some baby stuff. But now I remember once, not that long ago, I mean, in the last 10 years, not that long ago, I walked into Hamleys and it was like, this is the girl section. And you're like, okay, I see that. It's very pink and purple. I understand. Jesus Christ, I just wanted some Lego. And I think that it's a shame, and only
almost like
exists
we've gone
because of
backwards slightly,
marketing.
isn't it?
It absolutely, we've gone backwards.
I mean, you say all
it
this
used to
wearing a
be when
pink
I was a kid.
t-shirt.
Yeah, and I also have a blue jacket behind me, my friend.
Okay.
I've got masculine energy. I don't need to. I don't need to conform to one gender or not. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about was TV land trope of the incompetent dad. I'm sick of it. I've always been sick of it. It's really annoying. Really shit dads in adverts.
Well, like stereotypical, like kind of dad.
Yes, but like,
what
not
shit
in
dads
a Homer
are there? What
Simpson way.
Apart from, I mean, Homer Simpson's probably the most famous, followed by
Well, but I don't
Peter
think he is
Griffin.
being a shit dad, and I don't think he is either. But for example, and in fact, I have been very vocal about this in the past, in my life, in real life, in reality.
Okay.
Do you remember the Oven Pride advert? So easy, a man could do it.
No.
You remember this? Oh my God, I was incensed. I was so furious. So Oven Pride is an oven cleaner, and its shtick is that you get a bag, you put the
you put all the
grill
stuff,
bit
you
in
put that in the
and you
bag,
put,
and the chemical.
and it's really easy, and
I mean,
there's no
it's so
mess,
easy,
no
even a
fuss,
man
right?
could do it.
But look, if you just change that one word, so easy a woman could do it, people would be up in arms, right? Now, I am all for feminism, I am, right? But I don't think that feminism or gender equality comes at the cost of being negative towards men. And I understand that it's just a bit of fun, and I'm not being offended by it, but I'm just like, it's just such a lazy bullshit stereotype of like, oh, look, the incompetent man couldn't wash a fucking mug in a sink. It's just, why is that because not only are you saying men are shit at housework, but you're reinforcing the idea that women ought to be doing the housework because men are so bad at it. And it just makes my blood boil.
I mean, I'll be honest with you right now.
Being funny
I clean
Here we go.
I clean the bathroom far better than Hayley does. I get.
What do you want, a fucking medal?
No, but I'm just proving. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm proving your point. Like I get the toothbrush out and I scrub around the taps and shit. That bathroom's
Life's
gleaming.
too short for that, I'm afraid.
No, I'm telling you, you get a toothbrush and you get some decent product. Cleaning the bathroom is so easy. Even a woman could do it. See what I did there?
You know what my problem is? Maybe as an adult,
I think you laugh quietly. For everyone listening,
no,
Vicky
I
does
laugh
at
loud.
me. But for some reason,
I
your
did
mic
laugh. I laughed loud. There was a cackle. No, my microphone
go on,
is
cackle
depressed.
in your mic. Go on. No. Have you got like a setting on it or something?
Well, the no laughter setting.
Audio.
He's gonna do something.
Have you? What's your suppressed background noise? If you go to settings and audio, what does it say?
I'm aware of where
to go. Tell me where to go.
Hi.
Have you gone to medium?
I haven't done anything.
Go to medium. Take it off of high.
I'll go to medium.
And then cackle.
Yeah.
There we go. I heard it this time.
No. All right. You want it on medium? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
All right.
Makes me sound funnier than what I am.
Laugh. My beautiful
Makes me sound funnier.
Laughter.
Or what I do is I record you doing a few laugh tracks, and then I can just chuck them in, like the incompetent sitcom dads.
But honestly, I really hate it. I hate it so much. Particularly in advertising. And I suppose I hate it more in advertising because it's so cynical that they just because they're just reinforcing this bullshit so that we buy some more shit.
Yeah.
Says the woman that buys shit. Like I might be anti-capitalism, but I'm not anti retail therapy because the depressing thing is I am anti-Amazon, but I use it because
yeah, but listen. I'm the same as you. I think you
don't know what else to do.
There's got to be a balance.
I'm not rich enough to have principles.
You can have principles, but there's got to be some balance.
They're in my heart.
The whole thing.
That's what it is.
As long as you do some things, there's going to be other things that you don't do. You can't do everything. And speaking now,
I can't. You're right.
As a new dad,
as a father,
with a child, a wife, and a cat. Sometimes things like Amazon, if I need something in an emergency for them, boom, done. Next day.
Do you take my point about that fucking advert? Like, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And something like 250 people complained. And I'm like, well, that's fewer than there should have been. It should have been everybody going, hang on a minute. I understand it's a bit tongue-in-cheek and it's all a bit, cheeky sexism, but it's bullshit. And I'm not suggesting that the male is much maligned. I just think it's just, I
think it's a bit
it's just a bit much.
I just think it's a bit outdated.
It is outdated, and advertising famously relies on outdated tropes like that. But I think that it doesn't need to. It could just be like so easy. It's easy to do it. Do you know what I mean? Also, Oven Pride, I have used many a time. It's very good. Ain't that bloody easy? There's a lot of cleanup to be had. And so easy, Vicky could do it quite messily.
Yeah.
That's what their advertising.
That's what their slogan should be, yeah.
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 All they need is a catchy jingle like the Toys R Us one, although that didn't help Toys R Us in the end.
No, but we'll always remember it for that song.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to sing that to Alba one day and she'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What I'll be like, Toys R Us. What is this? I loved. Why did it fail? Why did Woolworths fail? We need to do a podcast about
everything fails.
Because people are cunts. That's
everything fails. Yeah.
Amazon hasn't failed.
That'll be Alba's Toys R Us, won't it? It'll be Amazon.
You can't even get an Argos catalogue anymore.
Thank God.
What do you mean, thank God? How dare you?
You know my thoughts on the Argos.
Yes, but no, because you hate Argos, and I hate you for that.
I didn't mind
love Argos.
when I was a kid. I didn't mind the Littlewoods catalogue.
It's the same fucking thing.
It's not, because you had the lingerie section, which I used to.
Oh, I see.
Enjoy looking at.
As a young girl, we didn't have any fun lingerie sections in catalogues. But you're right. The K's catalogue and the Littlewoods catalogue did conveniently flop open to those pages.
Yep. See, I'm glad that I remember all of this, because I think that it'll hold me in good stead as a parent, knowing
what lingerie pages.
Well, no, knowing what I used to do when I was a kid.
I do think
I'm not going to like
that.
You were saying about parents policing everything, and has it got violence in it? Has it got drugs? I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but just out of the corner of my eye, I'll be able to maybe notice things, because I do remember what it was like to be a child.
Happens. Yeah, but I do think that something happens to people when they become parents, and maybe it happens over a course of some time.
I say
they forget. No, not yet, but they do forget, because there are some conversations that I have with my parent friends where I have to be like, yeah, but don't you remember what it was like when you were that age? And I sort of have to prompt them, and then they go, oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. So I mean, luckily you'll have me around to go, yeah, but don't you remember?
I mean,
there was porn in hedges. Maybe you won't remember.
I don't remember that. I mean, I won't blow our own trumpet, but and I think it is a slight reflection on Alba and her attitude and personality so far. Hayley and I are very chilled out people, and she's a very chilled out baby.
That's true.
I think that helps.
Absolutely, but there will come a time when maybe she's a teenager, and different things will start happening.
But that,
and I have to then remind my friends, okay, but when you were a teenager, you were drinking when you were 13 and bunking off school to go lose your virginity with some idiot.
And do you know what? So things like maybe if she was drinking, that wouldn't bother me. The one thing that I'm already thinking about now, and bearing in mind she's only 5 weeks, is when she does get to that age when she goes out and gets
don't think about it yet.
Meets
don't do
it. Goes into a club and all that kind of stuff. Like, only because
sure, it is a worry. Of course,
you've got that poor girl
that don't think. No, don't think about it.
Don't worry, I'm not worrying about it, but I'm thinking.
No, but just don't even be today only, because Kelly's doing this at the moment. Her kid is 5, and she's talking about gangs and shit, and I'm like, he's 5.
Yeah,
enjoy him being 5.
To be honest, though, I've already said to Hayley, fuck mine. Like, we've only got 20 years, and then she's 20, and I'm 55. I'm close to 60. Then it's only 10 years away from 70. Then I'm dead. I'm already saying stuff like that to Hayley, and she's like, fucking hell. So,
yeah, I mean, I do that constantly, but
it's like you said,
because I'm 40 next year, so then I'll be dead soon.
But this is what I'm saying. I don't want to be like morbid or pessimistic, but fucking life goes so.
But you are, so what can you do?
It
does go fast.
It pisses me
off.
And
that's why certainly as a parent, you should not think about next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Just do today.
And I do.
Enjoy today.
I do live in the moment.
Embrace today.
Yeah, even though I do have these fleeting.
Yeah, but you've got half an eye.
I have these fleeting thoughts of
Stop
that.
It.
But I do genuinely live in the moment. But I've said that my main goal now is I just want her to have fun. That's it. It doesn't matter what life throws at you. Just have fun.
Kurt Vonnegut says,
you know what I mean?
We're here to fart around and don't let anyone tell you any different.
No. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut is who we all should listen to all of the time.
Very similar to
We're here to fart around.
It'll all come out in the wash.
No, it's not. It's
Yes,
have
it
fun.
is.
It's more simple.
Yeah, but
No, that is it. It will be what it will be. I don't mean that. I mean we're here to have fun. I was agreeing with your first fucking point, you
okay.
idiot. Bloody moron. What are you like? It's not it'll all come out in the wash. We're here to fart around.
Kind of the same though. We're always
Have
far
fun. No,
around.
it's not.
It's basically
No, it's
saying the same
very
thing though.
different.
Yeah, but it's still
No, it's
saying
not.
universally. It's saying be carefree, enjoy yourself. Either way.
No, because it'll all come out in the wash is like things will be resolved.
Yeah, so don't worry about it. Chill out. Relax.
No. We're here to fart around is have fun.
No, because it'll all come out in the wash is a reassurance. If you go, it'll all come out in the wash.
Okay, well, they're both reassurances. Yes, that is true. But the sentiment behind them are quite different, I'll have you know. And this better stay in the fucking edit. I'm sorry. I just went off on a rant. It's because I'm drinking Jack Daniels now.
Is there anything else you wanted to ask me about being a dad?
Well, without being too personal, I suppose.
No, go for it.
Do you think that it's changed your relationship with Hayley on a sexual level? I'm not saying do you still have sex, that's not what I mean, but now that she's a mother, do you still see her as sexually desirable? Is that something that you worried about when she was pregnant, or do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because I know that for some women, they do sort of maybe go off sex long term after they've had a child, because
I think there's lots
they've
of
sort of
reasons
fulfilled their role, right?
Yeah, well,
Of course.
mentally as well, physically they're not happy with their bodies and stuff like that. There's lots of reasons. I can understand why women, it's a big change for their lives, and
Of course, yeah.
and from my point of view, I mean, not to get personal or too personal, but leading up to the baby coming, no, I never, and I honestly can say it was fascinating. It was amazing to just watch, Hayley get bigger, and you could feel this baby inside. It was just incredible. It's unlike anything you'd ever experienced in your life. And then afterwards, I mean, what she went through, and I've from friends, I've heard horror stories of their partners giving birth. Hayley had it pretty cushy, I would say, to a certain extent. I mean, I won't say I don't. I think she overall feels the same way. It was a natural birth. It was uncomfortable, obviously, for her, but she got through it, and she got through it really well. And I just think that's amazing. And you just think to yourself, I didn't think I could love you even more than I do now. And purely for all that work that she's put in, it's a big job, carrying a child. And it's not like you carry a child for 9 months, give birth, and then you get a break. It's full on. You then go straight into the next phase. That's amazing.
It's actually sort of worse, isn't it?
There's no,
for the first few months, because
no
it's a lot.
stopping.
There's not a lot of sleeping. No.
And I think
I agree. I mean,
I think if you're in love with someone, and in a funny way, if they do something like that, I won't say do something like that for you, because it's not for you. But if they,
I know what you mean.
If they do something like that, you just like
but it is sort of for you. Like, I kind of see, because it's for your child.
Yeah.
So
I guess for you as
that
as
obviously
family,
involves
not you
as a
individual.
father. Yeah. I guess.
I'm kind of like, why wouldn't you still find that person desirable?
You sound like
You know?
the proper definition of awesome. You sound like you're in awe, which is lovely. It's beautiful to hear. But
But that's
I
the thing.
do often wonder about, yeah.
I was going to say, why for the person you're in love with to go through all that? Why would you not still find them desirable? And a really good example is your dad. Your mum did it 7 times, and your dad loved her even
Well, I
more after
think that
each time.
in the
You know?
60s there wasn't a lot on telly. Somebody said that to my dad once, and my dad said such a romantic thing back. I was in the truck with him, and this guy was talking to my dad through the window, and was like, "Oh, is that your youngest?" You know, it was that sort of conversation. And my dad was like, "Yes, my little one, Vicky." And he was like, "Oh, how many you got then?" And my dad says, "Oh, 7. So she's the 7th one." And he goes, "Oh God, blimey, wasn't a lot on telly." And my dad said the nicest thing I think I've ever heard anyone say. He said, "You can't make love to the television." And I love my wife, and I just remember thinking, "Oh."
Oh, mate, I tell you.
And but the way that they met, the way that they got together, the fact that they stayed together through various ups and downs, there is a lot to live up to relationship wise. And I don't know, like, not that theirs was perfect marriage, it totally wasn't, but like it was very romantic, and it was very sort of fate stepped in and intervened on all these different occasions, for example. And then I'm just like, oh well. It's like the story that you will tell Alba about you and her mum getting together is quite romantic, and you were saying you believe in love at first sight because of when you met Haley. And I think that's lovely and something to aspire to, but I haven't.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
but the one thing I will be, regardless of them stories that I tell Alba, the one thing I will try to instill in her is you do you. My life is not a blueprint for yours.
No, and I don't think that my parents tried to make their life a blueprint for me. It was just those sorts of funny stories. I mean, I've got some funny stories, but they haven't led to marriage. So, whatever. Also, maybe I'm just a really difficult person. And maybe I shouldn't have stopped therapy.
I didn't think you had. You just drunk a whole bottle of Jack Daniels. No, you haven't.
I saw your thing was advertised the other day, by the way, on telly.
What was that? What thing?
Your thing.
Oh, my
Thing.
diabetes, my Libra sensor.
Yes.
That's stuck on my arm and scanned.
I said to Phil, James and Ailey have got that.
Yeah, I had to when she was in the delivery room pushing, I had to keep scanning her arm.
Oh yeah,
so
of course.
So they could keep track of it for them. Like it's quite good actually. It was like almost like a job for me to do. Yeah, it's,
concentrates your mind.
Yeah, they put her on like a couple of drips. One was trickling insulin and the other one was glucose, just to keep it all balanced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like scanning her arm every hour, checking it, letting them know. The baby hasn't got diabetes though, which is good. So
I mean, yeah. Haley.
Right. Thanks for that.
Haley
Cheers.
developed it. No, I was
thinking.
No, I don't mean it like
well,
that.
Yeah.
It's so unusual. Maybe when Alba's 25, they'll just have like some sort of microchip something, and it just won't
use it straight away.
Yeah, just whatever. Yeah. Just does it.
Well, I mean, I've had it since I was 21. That's over 10 years now. And you think the technology's come on already. I wonder what it'll be
it's
like
already
in the next
unusual,
10 years.
is my point, that you developed it at 21.
Yeah.
You bitch. Type 1 as well. Type 1. How crazy. Are either of your parents diabetic?
No.
Your grandparents?
No.
Haley?
Haley is.
Her parents.
No.
I hope that you're not genetically related to Haley.
No, this isn't Game of Thrones.
I never watched 1 second of Game of Thrones. I'm proud to say.
Oh, well, I haven't spoiled it for you.
I can't. I know that there's a lot of shagging, and there's a brother and a sister.
Yeah, a lot of
there's
incest,
some dragons,
a lot of shagging.
There's a lot of boobs.
Dragons, yeah.
I know all about the Red Wedding.
Oh yeah, that was.
And
good
I know that Bran is the winner of the throne.
Spoilers.
Fuck off. Do you know the thing with spoilers? After a year, go fuck yourself. It's on the internet. What are you doing? Avoiding the whole internet. I haven't watched 1 second. I haven't even watched the opening credits of the Game of Thrones. And I know all of those things. Also, I don't mind spoilers.
No, I'd still watch it. I
quite like spoilers.
Yeah.
Even if I know exactly what's coming.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll Wikipedia the plot of something as I'm watching it.
Me too. And I go, oh, cool.
Especially if it's a horror film.
I know what to expect.
And then when the jumps come and Haley jumps and I don't, I'm like, oh, did you not notice that was going to
happen? The only thing is, recently I watched an Irish gangland drama.
This has been a Head Full of Straw production of Vicky Goes On and On with Vicky Stokes and James Wells.
I will wish you a good night.
This session has stopped recording.
This session has stopped recording.